Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. Hello if you're new. So today's episode is going to be a review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12, Episode 1. So we're finally back for a brand new season. Notably, there wasn't an All-Stars this year, which was a bit strange. But nonetheless, let's just get into this review. So let's start off with my first impressions on the queens coming in. Notably, there's only 7 queens in the first episode, but yeah. First queen that was in, Britta, Polynesian queen. This is like the first time I believe there's been a Polynesian queen on the show. She seems like decent personality. She's quite strong-headed and she's an older queen, so I definitely think she's probably going to get into it with the other queens. Notably though, I have to point out is that she said that in drag she's often mistaken for a big black lady. Now, looking at her in drag, I would like to know who said that, because she does not look like a black lady in drag. I think at a stretch, she either looks Polynesian or Southeast Asian in drag. I do not get any black vibes from her drag. I think it was a reach. It's not every day. It doesn't need to be forced all the time, you know? Next was Nikki Doll. She's from New York. That's who she's representing, but she has a little French accent. Obviously, RuPaul's Drag Race, they had their first season in the UK not too long ago, so maybe they're trying to tap into their European fan base. Obviously, we know she's a look queen. Paris is big on fashion. Her looks have been okay. They haven't wowed me yet. I think I'll definitely be looking out for her looks, but her looks necessarily haven't wowed me yet. But in terms of her personality, again, I think she could potentially have a good personality. She comes across quite chill in the first episode, but she does throw a lot of shade in the confessional. I think we'd probably have to just see as the show goes along in terms of seeing more of her personality. Then it's Jackie Cox, first Persian queen on the show. When I first saw her, I thought maybe she was like a comedy queen, the classic comedy nerdy queen, and I just thought she's going to be one of the first people to go, because that outfit was terrible, absolutely terrible. And I'm not going to lie, I ripped Jackie Cox off at this point. Then the next person was Widow Von Du, Southern queen, big personality, loved her personality coming in, but I did notice that her makeup was a bit grey, and you see that a lot in the seasons, that people coming in with grey makeup, so that just needs to be fixed ASAP. But first impressions, I really liked Widow Von Du. One thing to note, when Jackie came in, obviously Britta and Jackie know each other, but in the confessional, Britta was throwing a lot of shade, basically saying that she doesn't think that Jackie Cox is a contender, basically saying that, you know, she's not a look queen and maybe she can bring her personality, but she's not sure if that will be enough on the show. And I think that was very interesting, because if this is your friend and then you're going and saying that in the confessional, like, Jackie can't just watch the show back and see you chatting shit about her, I thought that was very interesting. So it's just very clear that Britta and Jackie are just like, you know, those ones where you're in the same field of work, so you're buddy at work, but really you secretly despise each other. Those are the vibes I'm getting off Britta. And at that point, I was like, maybe Britta has a point, because I was just looking at Jackie Cox's entrance outfit and I'm just like, why would you choose to wear that? And then next is hidden in the closet. Another Southern bumpkin, you know, she's got the Southern teeth, you know, that classic Southern gap tooth look. She's doing the tongue thing. Jackie's trying to comfort in the confessional, saying that the tongue thing is like a Persian/Middle Eastern thing. Jackie, honey, you need to do your research, because it's not just a Persian thing. It's an Asian thing, it's an African thing, it's a Creole thing. So Jackie, do your research before opening your mouth, please. You know, the outfit she came into was cute. I guess she kind of fits the stereotype, you know, some of her speech is a bit slow. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed. But I feel like her outfit is cute, and I feel like facially, she has a nice face. I feel like her face kind of reminds me of Diana Ross, you know, those big eyes and the nose. So, yeah, I love me some hiding in. But I feel like maybe she's going to be a less polished queen and probably won't win. Next, it is Gigi, another look queen. Now, she's somebody where you say there's a look queen, you're like, okay, she comes in, she doesn't even need to say she's a look queen. You already know she's a look queen. She comes in, she says that she can sew. So all of the girls are already shaken because every year it's the same thing. There's a sewing challenge and half of the girls don't know how to sew. Gigi is very confident. She puts some sly digs in there. She's a very shady queen. She's a young queen that I personally warm to Gigi, and she's, on first impressions, I really like Gigi. Then it's Crystal Method. She comes in. I'm guessing she's a comedy queen. She's giving me hippie vibes. And I'm just thinking to myself, with the outfit that she was wearing, just thinking it's another person that's going out early. But in the confessional, Widow is singing her praises. She's basically saying that you shouldn't count her out and that, you know, she's a strong contender. And I'm at this point, I'm just thinking, I'm not sure if I can believe that. And then, of course, everybody's just like, it's 7 queens, what's going on? I just feel like in its 12th season, 7 queens, it's just very obvious that it's not going to remain 7 queens. Moving on. So first was a mini challenge, and it was kind of a fashion week challenge, and they had to run down the runway with 2 different looks. It kind of gave us an introduction into what we can expect from the girls and what we can expect from the runway. So in terms of the worst outfits on those runways, I think was probably Widow's outfit, the one where she's wearing that big old neon onesie or dungaree or whatever it was. It looked like an adult wearing a baby outfit. It looks like something that someone would put their baby or their toddler in. And then she tried to switch it up with the bikini underneath, and it just was not working, in my opinion. And then the next worst outfit was Heiden's outfit, the one where it was kind of got that tropical beach look, and she had that long ass headpiece on her head. That was a horrible outfit. It was ill-fitting. The headpiece looked like it was paper mache, and then she just stuck some cheap ass sequins on it from the dollar store. And then on top of that, the headpiece fell off, and she didn't even bother to do her hair underneath. These are just rookie moves. So even though I like her as a person, it's just very clear that she's not a polished queen. And, you know, the unpolished queens, they never win. Every time they're safe, it is a struggle. And I feel like it's going to be a struggle with Miss Heiden this season. And then also Crystal Method's outfit. The first one she was in, it was a pedestrian outfit, and on top of that, it was a bad pedestrian outfit. I just feel like if you're going to do a pedestrian look, at least make sure it looks good. It felt like she just went into any random vintage store, picked off the first 3 things she saw on the sale rack, and then the same thing with the jewelry. It just looked very discombobulated. Overall, in terms of the looks on the runway, I was a bit underwhelmed. And then in terms of the best look, I think it was Gigi who had the best look on the outfit, when she had that kind of, both of her looks were pretty good, to be honest, in terms of the mini challenge. Comparing it to past seasons, in these mini kind of runway challenges, the looks that we are seeing are usually of better quality. And I just feel like on season 12, we should be seeing high quality, and I just feel like the fashion show was very mediocre in my opinion. But what I will say is that Jackie was throwing out some looks. I was very surprised by the looks that Jackie was giving us on the runway, really like period pieces, like 70s outfit. I'm just thinking, why didn't you wear this on the entrance? Why were you wearing that ugly ass dress on the entrance? So I was thoroughly impressed by Jackie Cox. So then obviously they're back in the workroom. RuPaul comes in and reveals that the main challenge is going to be a rapping/performing challenge. And she does this cringe ass thing where she does a hand movement, basically saying that Nicki Minaj was going to be the guest judge. She does this like hand gesture, and she's like, "Young Money." I was just like, RuPaul, please stop it, please. So anyway, there's a little bit of drama surrounding the challenge because obviously they have to do performance, they have to create their own choreography. So they basically nominate Widow and Heiden to figure out what the choreography is. Now, obviously, they're both figuring out what the choreography is, but it kind of feels like Widow is like the main choreographer. So she's trying to coordinate this choreography. But then other people start piping up, namely Britta and Jackie. They start piping up, then Nikki starts piping up, and you could tell that Widow is getting frustrated, basically trying to tell them politely, shut up and let me do my job. So then after that, I guess Widow just kind of just gives up speaking up, because after a while it must get tiring. And then everyone was like, oh, it's not working out, we need to choose like one choreographer. So they tell Widow, you know, do you want to work out the choreography? And she's just kind of just like, you know, I'm over it at this point. So they nominate Heidenin to do it instead. And then obviously it's the same old narrative. Oh, you know, this person's worried about mastering the choreography. They're saying, oh, I have to get this right, I can't go home, blah, blah, blah. The same old shit as every season. So then obviously they had their routine kind of episodic sub-story. So this week's sub-story is Jackie's story. Obviously she's half Persian and in Iran. For those of you who don't know where Persia is basically Iran. And in Iran, you can still be put to death for being gay. And obviously, Jackie is gay. And it's just basically like, you know, she's trying to embrace her Persian culture, but, you know, this upsets her. And then Nikki starts talking about how she was repressed in Morocco because they have repressive laws against gay people. And that was basically the sub story. I always think it's good that they bring light to these issues, but I just feel like the sub stories are kind of getting repetitive, and I just feel like if this is what they're going to do every episode to bring light to other LGBT plus issues, I don't understand why they just don't plug a charity every episode, like plug a different LGBT plus charity. I feel like that would be a better use of time and a better use of highlighting issues, because I just feel like they repeat the same things every episode, every season. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the inclusion of the sub stories and, you know, the little narratives that they have in every episode. Do you think it would be better if they just plugged a charity instead, or do you feel like it's good for the drag queens to be able to share personal issues that they faced in their life so that they can relate to their audience? Let me know what you think. In the run up to the performance, Widow is getting a bit nervous. She's basically nervous about, like, if the performance was to go to shit, she's worried about Britta and Jackie throwing her under the bus. Obviously, we don't see that this episode, but perhaps it could foreshadow another situation down the line where, you know those episodes when it's like, who do you think should be up for the bottom? And Widow gets thrown under the bus by either Britta or Jackie or both. Maybe that's what they're trying to foreshadow. So obviously then it's, you know, the day of the performance. Nikki comes through. Obviously she's the guest judge of the episode. They do a little skit with her coming down the runway. And one thing that I noticed is that Nicki Minaj, it's very clear that Nicki Minaj does not have a good walk, does not have a good catwalk, because the editing, did we even see her legs move from one point to another? The editing just made it very clear that Nicki Minaj doesn't have a good runway walk. I thought it was quite funny, the editing. But yeah, in terms of Nicki Minaj as a guest judge, I liked her. I don't think there was anything wrong. I just feel like maybe it's this season, it just feels a little bit stiff. It doesn't really have the same dynamic as past seasons, and not even just Nicki Minaj being there, but also the judges as well. I don't feel like the spark that used to be there is there anymore. Obviously they do their performance. Again, I was underwhelmed again. I just feel like the quality of that performance was rubbish compared to the other seasons. Even the UK Queens, and I cussed the UK Queens, but even the UK Queens did a better job than what was on this first episode as a collective. In terms of who I thought were the worst performers, honestly, I couldn't say anyone was downright horrible. I just feel like overall as a group, it was low energy, it was lackluster. But I think for me, the worst performers were probably Britta. I felt like, even though she was high energy, I felt like her lip sync was a bit off. Maybe it was the lip sync was a bit off in my opinion. Maybe my link was lagging because I was waiting all day for it to come on Netflix and it wasn't coming, so I had to find a link, honey. Maybe it was my link that was lagging, but I felt like her lip sync was a bit off. If there was a bottom this week, I felt like she should have been in it. And then also Nikki as well. I felt like even though her solo performance was okay, it was very low energy compared to the other girls. In terms of the best performance, the only notable performances, I felt like Gigi's performance was pretty decent. Heiden's performance was pretty decent, but obviously the person who really ate this performance, who blew everybody out of the park, was Widow. That is how you do it. That is an example of the quality that they should have been having. This is an example of the standard that they should have came from. And after that performance, I knew Widow was the one to beat, the one to watch. But one thing to note is, and Nicki Minaj, Nicki Minaj, I don't know why you didn't call her out, but this crystal meth person, I have a problem, because for the hip hop challenge, why does she have a really bad exaggerated tan, a blue afro, a pink cheetah print play suit, and then exaggerated hip pads? Please tell me why she was doing it. I'm sorry, that is hella sus. Hella sus. I feel like I can see a comedy, quote unquote comedy set where somebody's telling people to pick cotton again. I could see it in the future. But what do you guys think about that? I felt like it was very sus. I felt type of way about it. Runway. In terms of the runway, the looks that I didn't like the most on the runway, I didn't like Heiden's look. I felt like the dress had potential, but it felt like, there's Sherry Hill and then there's the knockoffs that you try and get from Front Hill. And I feel like the dress was the knockoff from Front Hill. You could see a little bit of the gaps. I felt like maybe there should have been a bit more tailoring. The wig was sitting on her scalp. Not even on her hair. The wig was sitting on her scalp. You could see the gap between the scalp, the air pockets in her wig. It was a whole mess. And I feel like she tried to cover it with the beads, but then she didn't even try and cover the hairline. So it's just like, what you doing, girl? What you doing? A mess. Then Widow, I did not like her outfit because it just looked a little bit weird and a little bit cheap in my opinion. And then Crystal Methy, I don't know what this whole bodysuit with the tail and then the paint was. It looked very cheap and it was just very weird. And I'm gonna need Crystal Meth to come with something. Not even Crystal Method. I'm gonna need her to come with something new. So in terms of the best look, I think Gigi had the best look with her kind of plastic riding suit. But in terms of the looks overall, again, you're gonna hear this a lot, I was underwhelmed. In terms of other seasons, even last season, the looks last season, even the British Queens, girl, what is going on this season? It's very lackluster. Next was, obviously they had the judges' comments and stuff like that, but I don't even think it really matters this episode. But most critiques were actually quite nice, which is a bit of a surprise. Usually there's at least like one really harsh critique, but not really this episode. I think the only thing that I saw was maybe, I think somebody said British's rap didn't make sense or wasn't about her, and Nikki, like, you could see that Nikki was a bit nervous or didn't believe in herself, something like that. So obviously the judges are deliberating, and one by one people were getting saved. So British saved, I was surprised about that. Jackie saved, okay. Crystal Method saved, I'm just like, okay. And then Nikki got saved. And then when Nikki got saved, I was like, huh? Okay, this is weird. And then there's 3 people left. So there's Gigi, Hayden, and Widow. And then I'm just like, this is strange. And then I just felt like, well, of course, Widow and Gigi are not going home. Like, they're not going to do that. And it was a bit of an anticlimax because I feel like we all knew at this point that there was going to be a twist and nobody, and at this point I was thinking 7 queens, there's only 7 queens in this episode, nobody's going home today. I knew that at that point. Like, it wasn't even shock value or anything like that. And then obviously, but one twist that we do see is that I'm not sure if they're going to just do it for this episode or whether they're going to continue it, but they're snatching the All-Star format from last year where it is the top 2 queens lip sync for a cash tip, which is 5k. That is a hefty tip, 5k. And I think when people start getting sent home, I think it's going to be a thing where the top two queens lip sync for the tip, and then they get to choose who goes home out of the bottom queens. I think that's what it's going to be. And in terms of that twist, I'm not really sure, because I do like a lip sync challenge from two desperate people who do not want to go home. But at the same time, the lip sync quality has not been that great in the last kind of year or so. And perhaps I feel like the standard of lip syncs on the All-Stars, when the top two queens were lip syncing for the cash tip, was slightly better. But at the same time, they're All-Stars and they've been selected from prior seasons because they were either good or they've now had practice to perfect their moves. So I guess we'll see. I think that's going to be the format for the rest of this season. But let me know what you think of this new format, if that is going to be the case. They do the lip sync. Widow and Gigi lip sync to Starships. It's an iconic song, iconic summer tune. And, Widow rips off her outfit. She's wearing this intergalactic type of bikini, and she looks like she belongs in the Starships video. So I was just like, okay, this lip sync was literally made for Widow, so she's obviously going to win. Obviously, Widow was turning it out. I actually preferred her performance in the rap battle, but she was still turning it up. She was dipping it and doing it. She was splitting everywhere. She was doing double jointedness. I personally think that Widow was doing a bit too much. And the reason why I think she was doing a bit too much is because, and I think it's all down to strategy, because Gigi was a very easy person to beat. It's not like Widow had to go all out to beat Gigi. Gigi is not that great of a lip singer. So really and truly, she could have just repeated what she did in the rap battle performance and won. That would have meant that she could save all of this double jointed stuff for another lip sync when she needed it. So now, if she does it again, it's kind of like, okay, this is old, we've seen it before, we want to see something new. That's why I kind of feel like Widow was doing too much, and I think it would have been a smarter move to hold back a bit, especially because she didn't need to. Gigi, she was talking about all of this, I've got a unique style, I'm serious, and then I do funny. I did not catch any of that funny. I was not laughing at all. I was just like, girl, what are you actually doing? You need to go back to the rehearsal room and work on this lip sync, honey, if you want to get anywhere. It's probably a better thing for Gigi that it's only going to be the top people who are going to be lip syncing, because that lip sync was quite something. I feel like, again, the UK queens, I cussed them out, but I feel like even they could have done a better job than Gigi, even Hodgepodge. And then on top of that, they revealed that new queens were coming. Shocker. Like, totally just did not see that coming. Honestly, the twist, I'm going to need more of them. This season feels very uncreative. So in terms of who I feel are the ones to watch from this first episode, I think the ones to watch are Widow, Gigi, and Jackie Cox. But yeah, I feel like I've said it a lot, but I don't think there was like that spark that we have seen with prior seasons for this season. And I think what I've really been missing in terms of RuPaul's Drag Race is the Puerto Rican queens. I don't know why they stopped bringing them onto the show. I feel like that's what is missing. We need more Puerto Rican queens. People are here for Crystal Methods, Freddy Krueger Couture. People are standing Jackie Cox out of drag. People are saying that Heidi looks like Phaedra from Real Housewives Atlanta. People are throwing it back to Violet's iconic reveal. People are saying that this was the best Drag Race premiere ever. People are standing Nikki Doll. People are standing this opening episode. People are noticing that the judges are being very positive. People are standing Nikki's Drag Race verse. People are standing the lip sync. I personally, I don't know. I didn't think it was the best lip sync, to be honest. I feel like it was a good lip sync, but I'm not sure if it's iconic. People are saying they're going to stand Gigi even though she's very stiff. People are standing Gigi's looks. People are standing Heidi. People are saying that RuPaul must have money to book Nicki Minaj. People are saying that Nicki Minaj needs to be a permanent judge. So, that's quite interesting. I really did not like, well, did not like it, but I'm very underwhelmed by this season opening. I think even last year was probably better, to be honest. But yeah, I'll be interesting to hear what your thoughts were on the first episode of season 12. What do you think of the girls? Who are your favorites? Who are the people who you don't like? Who do you think is going home first? In terms of who I think is going home first, I think maybe my money's on Hayden. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this podcast. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to put your notification bell on. So yeah, till next time guys, bye.